Hello, everyone. Let's see if we have a couple people join in before I start talking. I hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. Okay, now I'm officially live on Facebook. You guys, if you've been watching some of my lives for a while, you know I hate that lag. But anyway, welcome to Organizing Basics. This was a last minute decision, and sometimes those are the best decisions. I have had a lot of questions, both in here and private messenger, and even some emails about my program that I have starting next week, Conquer Your Chaos, where we're diving deep into every type of clutter and how to make a plan and how to beat that overwhelm over 5 weeks. And so what I thought I would do was give a taste of that. Some people are like, well, what is she teaching? What some people are new to my community, so they didn't even know what I was like, what it would be like working with me. And as you guys know, I love to share free tips and tricks anyway. So that is my goal over the next 3 days. We have 5 people here, and like I have said before on some of these, it doesn't show on my laptop who's here. So if you guys want to say hi, say hi. Um, what we are sharing today are organizing basics. Over the course of the program that I'm teaching, I'm going to share 12. I'm sharing 5 today. We're going to talk about 5 of those. And I'm also going to share the first step in creating any type of plan for organizing your life, your office, your thoughts, anything. You always start with this first step. So that's today. Tomorrow, we are diving into paper clutter. That is always, I'd say, over half of the people that request to join this group put paper as their number one challenge. You know, we say we're going to try to go paperless, and it just continues to be a challenge for everyone. And then on Thursday, we are going to talk about the internal clutter. So the mental, the emotional, the difference between them, what you can do, how you can change your thoughts around the mental and emotional, and some of the things that you can do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to keep them at bay. So that is the plan for the week. I will have the recordings up in the group. I'm actually going to send the recordings out to my email list each day. Some of you are brand new. You just came over from there. So thank you and welcome. And that is the plan for the week. So if you have any questions, if you're watching the replay, you can go ahead and put in the comments, any questions as we go, or even afterwards when you're watching the replay. So diving in, the very first thing when you are getting ready to conquer your chaos, whether it's physical clutter in your home, whether it's your office, whether it's digital, whether it is a decision you're trying to make and it's mental and emotional. I lead my clients through 5 steps. The first step is always, every single time, state your vision. What is your vision for what you want this to look like, where you want your life to go, what you want your office to look like? State your vision. And this is deeper than, trying to see, whoops, my computer's being so funny. This is deeper than just setting goals or making a list of steps to get there. That comes later in the process. Stating your vision is really about feeling. What do you want it to feel like when you have that organized office, when you have made this decision, when you can pull your car in the garage? There are feelings attached to that. And so when you state your vision, I really want you to dive deep into as many senses as you can. What will this look like? What will it sound like? What will it feel like? What will it taste like? Whatever is appropriate for the situation that you're trying to get organized. So really, really feel into it. Another thing to remember when you're stating your vision is to state it positively. You're trying to get to something, towards something. You're not trying to get away from those negative feelings. So you want to think of it as a benefit. What would be the benefits of your office being organized? What will it be like to go in the morning and know where to find everything, or exactly what your top 5 tasks are for the day? What's the benefit? Don't frame it as, oh, I need to quit being so unorganized. I need to, get my act together. So you always want to state it in a positive way. And I want you to be really, really specific. So, for instance, instead of saying, my vision is an organized closet. Okay, that's fine. That's a great vision. But there are lots of different versions of organized closets. One of the things we're going to talk about in just a moment with the basics is that you do it for you. So for one person, an organized closet, I've used this example before, might mean like it's not a safety hazard. You're not tripping, things aren't falling on your head. You can basically walk in there and get what you need. That might be an organized closet to them. Other people want matching hangers. They want, we actually had a post in the group that made a lot of people drool, where it had, a bench in the middle. It had a chandelier. It's what I call a destination closet. So some people might want that. So you can see where it's very different saying, well, my vision is an organized closet. Okay, fine. That's a good starting point. But what does that mean to you? What does it feel like when you walk in? What can you accomplish in that space? Maybe that doesn't apply to a closet, but you get the idea. So for whatever your project is, any type of organizing project, first thing you do is state your vision always, and spend some time on that. Imagine, write it out, journal, find pictures, whatever that is for you. That's always step one. So next week starting in my program, we'll dive into all of them. And as my clients know, we go into all of them. So I just wanted to give you guys a taste of that because it's a great starting point. You always want to state your vision. Any questions on that? I'm going to scroll down. I hope I don't lose. Someday I will master the art of going live. Okay, I don't think there are any comments. So what I want to do next is share 5 organizing basics. Now, if you've been a member of this group or you've been a client of mine for any length of time, you know that I am huge on saying, do what works for you. I actually had someone quote me yesterday, do what works for you. And that is true. I believe you have to build upon your own strengths. You have to do what's right for you at that point in your life. But there are in the organizing world certain truths that always stand. And as I said, over the 5-week program, I'm going to teach 12. Today, we're going to cover 5. So, number 1, organizing is for your sanity. I just said it. It's for you. It's for your sanity. Those of you that have watched my TED Talk know that I say, there's no moral judgment. No one should walk into your home or walk into your office and make a judgment. It is for you. There are truly those out of sight, out of mind people that have to have certain things out in the open in order to function. There are those other people that have to have a totally clear space. And so they need to put it all away, whether it's, binders, drawers, wherever. That is individual. The one thing that I believe has made me successful and set me apart is that I look at that. I look at how people's brains work. I look at your learning style. So it is for your sanity. So I did make a couple notes because I'm out of my element here. I'm at my mom's house in not so sunny Florida. I don't think I've seen the sun except for one time since Thursday. So, but clutter intensifies. So the amount of clutter, I talked about this in a live last week, how we are wired for looking for danger in our environment. And so every time we walk into a room, you look around and you try to see danger. And so clutter registers in our mind as something that we have to look out for and look, register in our brain. And so it intensifies the frustration and exhaustion that people who are already stressed feel. That is a given. And so that is why I talk both ways. I say it's for you and do what works for you, but I also really, really stress to declutter and have a peaceful, calm environment because they're both important. The magic and the art of organizing is finding where those two things intersect. And that's individual for every person. So you want your environment to be comfortable, you want it to be peaceful, but there's no right or wrong. I say this a lot, that it's going to ebb and flow throughout your life. So if you have little kids, your home is going to look very, very different than if you're an empty nester. And that's okay. And you need to be okay with that. I've only had one person that I ever met, and this was years and years ago. I think it was when I lived in Tennessee. And someone made a comment like, it's really important you be there for your kids, and your kids aren't going to remember what your house looked like, and that's not what's most important. And she said, oh, no, no, no. They will remember that we had a perfect house because I will tell them over and over. So she's the only person I've ever met like that. For most people, they understand that it's going to ebb and flow and things are going to be different based on where you are in life and what's going on at that time. Maybe you're in graduate school or whatever, and so your life is going to look, and working full time, your life is going to look very different than when you're just in one of those smoother episodes. So that is organizing basic number one. It is for you. It is for your sanity. You want to be able to find things. I mean, obviously the people that live with you, but it is for you. It is personal. Don't get caught up in Pinterest. Don't get caught up in shoulding yourself. It is for you. That is number one. Organizing is for your sanity and your peace. Number two is to fix your hot spots. This is one of the most common questions that I get is, where do I start? There are different schools of thought. Some people say, okay, start with the hardest thing first. Eat the frog. In other words, like you get the hard thing out of the way and then everything else flows, everything else feels easy. There's a completely opposite school of thought where people say, well, if you start with some of the smaller tasks and you have success, then you feel momentum and then you feel confidence and then you can keep going and you can build upon that. So those are completely opposite. Again, that's going to be very personal. What I suggest is that you start with your hot spots. And what I mean by that are, what are the areas in your home or your office or whatever it is that bother you the most? And conversely, what are the areas that make you happy when they are really clear and look great and are decluttered and you can find everything? So some people, it might be their entryway, their mudroom. That might be, because some people I've worked with walk right into the house and it's there. It's in your face. It's a huge mess. It's disorganized. It's dirty, whatever it is. So if there's something that bothers you every day, start there. If there's a spot, like for me, it's my kitchen counters. If my kitchen counters are clear and clean and nice, my day is literally better. I'm happier. I function better. So for me, it would always be starting with my kitchen counters. So whatever that is for you, and then look at yourself. Ask yourself those questions. Am I the person who should start with the hard thing first? Because I know that I need to get that out of the way. Am I the type of person that needs to build upon my successes and get momentum? So I'm going to knock these 5 things out and then feel really, really good about myself and tackle something harder. Only you can answer that. I mean, there are different experts that will say, it's this, do one or the other. So that's why I always suggest taking a look at that, but starting with your hot spots. So that is number 2, is to fix your hot spots. And I'm just going to check my phone because I think there are comments and I cannot see them on my screen. Okay, there was just one. Okay, good. So if you have comments or questions, thank you for giving me that moment to check. All right, number 3, and this makes some people cringe, but freebies are not your friends. Freebies are not your friends. So you all know what I'm talking about. Either things that come from other family members, that they are trying to get rid of. And they're like, haha, yes, someone's going to take this off my hands. Or free things that they give away, the mug from your bag, or, apologies to all the merchandise marketing people in the group, because I know there are a bunch of you. But sometimes those are not our friends. I have probably thrown away or donated literally thousands of water bottles in my career. And, you go to your bank and you open a new account and they're like, here's a water bottle and a t-shirt. You are allowed to say no, thank you, and you are allowed to pass. So if it's something, obviously, if you're in the grocery store and they're giving away free detergent samples, you're like, sure, because it's something I'm going to use. But if it's another keychain or water bottle or whatever that you already have enough of, please say no. Please just leave it for the next person, and understand that freebies are not always your friend. Yes, it's free. It's kind of the same principle as, well, it was on sale. It was really, really good price, but maybe I didn't need it. And so instead of it being this great price, I actually, wasted $12.99 or whatever it is. So the less things that you bring into your space, whether it's work or home, our mind, whatever it is, the less things that we bring in, the less things we need to maintain, the less space we need to have. You don't have to spend time cleaning them. You don't have to spend time thinking about them. And you don't have to spend time eventually selling, donating, throwing them away. So that is number 3. Freebies are not your friends. All right, number 4. Oh, before I go to number 4, though, part of freebies are not your friends. One of the other things, there are some golden rules of organizing, and there are more than one, but I'm going to share one right now because it goes with it. Your inventory, so the stuff that you have, I couldn't think of that word for some reason. So your inventory must conform to your storage. So you can have things, but if you live in a really, really tiny home or an apartment, or like actually 3 people in this group, either now or going to live in RVs, I think that's so incredibly cool. If you live in a space like that, then freebies are really not your friends, because you have to think like, well, do I even have the space for this? Do I even want it? So that's one of the golden rules that applies to freebies and not your friends, is that your stuff has to conform to your space. So don't bring something new in unless it's really going to add value to your life, or, like I said, if it's useful, if it's something you're going to use. Okay, moving on. So number 4, and this one gets people to stop and kind of look at me sometimes, especially if they have little children. But number 4 is that the floor is not a storage option. Now, hear me out, because sometimes, yes, we keep things in baskets on the floor, but for the most part, you don't want to put boxes, bags, toys. You don't want that to be their permanent residence, is on the floor. Now, sometimes, like if you have children and you want to have something down low where they can reach it, that's fine. But the key is to be intentional. Those of you that have been in this group for a while or are my clients, you know that that is one of my all-time favorite words. You need to be intentional. So you can put things in a bin or a basket or some type of storage container down low that sits on the floor. But the key is you're being intentional. You know what's going to live in that thing. You know where it's going to go. It has a home. There aren't just loose items out on the floor. And so that one sounds simple, but it's also very key, is that you need to actually think of where things are going to go and not just the floor. That's a good answer. I'm going to put it on the floor. So the floor is not a storage option. And if it needs to be, because it makes sense, then you need to be intentional about how you're storing it, where you're storing it, what you're putting down low. That's number 4. And the last one that we're going to talk about today, number 5, as I said in the program, we're going to do 12 spread out with discussion. But last one for today, number 5, is don't be afraid to make a mess. To truly, truly get things organized, sometimes it is going to look a lot worse before it gets better. So think of something like a pantry. In order to really organize a pantry, you need to take it all out. You're probably going to want to clean it. I've had a client before, buy really, really fancy like contact paper, line the shelves, put new things that, whatever it is. And then look at what's expired, go through it all and put it all back intentionally. And I always say put things back in zones. Think of like a store. So you're putting it back in groups and you're putting your most commonly used things at eye level. But that's a discussion for another day, a pantry discussion day. But it's going to look worse before it gets better. I actually have a series of pictures on my phone of pantries, some closets, storage closets in businesses, storage unit for a business, very often files and paper. You have to take everything out. Don't be afraid to make a mess. But there's always a but. Don't let that stop you. Like if you only have 10 minutes and you're like, my pantry's really bothering me, but I only have 10 minutes. And so you keep procrastinating because you never have the time to make that mess. Go ahead and just, say, okay, well, I'm going to challenge myself to find 5 expired things or whatever it is. So that's the but. But if you really, really want to make a big difference in some areas, you're going to have to be okay with making a mess. It's going to look worse before it looks better. And so that is number 5. Don't be afraid to make a mess. So to recap, number 1 is organizing is for your sanity. It is for you. It's for you to be able to function in your space, for you to be able to accomplish your work, for you to feel calm and peaceful. It doesn't matter what others think. It is for you. Number 2, if you're unsure where to start, fix your hotspots. That's number 2. Start with the things that bother you the most, or start, to think of it in a more positive spin. Start with what is going to make you feel really good and happy when it's organized. So that's number 2. Number 3, freebies are not your friends, whether that's merchandise, samples, or extra clothes from your next door neighbor, or 12 glass vases that your grandma wants to get rid of. Whatever it is, freebies are not your friends, was number 3. Number 4 is that the floor itself is not a storage option. That's number 4. And then number 5, don't be afraid to make a mess. Sometimes things will look worse before they look better. So drop me a comment on which of those was your favorite tip or which one applies to your life right now, where you are. As I mentioned, I usually share 12 with my clients, and these were 5. I only wanted to spend 20 minutes today. It's actually already been 23. So I wanted to keep it short, but I'm going to put the link. As I said, the reason I'm doing this, some people said, well, what kinds of stuff are you going to be teaching in your course? And, how can I get more information? I'm not going to go into that very much here because we're already a little bit over time, but I will put the link if you want to read the page, find out more information. As always, send me a message. I've been talking back and forth with a couple people, and no question is a silly question. Go ahead and ask me anything you want to ask me about the content, how it works, replays, how we work on your individual plan. That was a big thing for a couple people. It's like, well, is it going to be personalized? So ask me any of those questions that you have, and I hope you'll come back tomorrow. Tomorrow is, as I mentioned when we started, the number 1 topic that is always requested in this and any other group that I'm ever in, and that is paper. What to do with the paper? How do we sort it? How do we know what to keep, what we can get rid of? Some of you have joined me on the productivity parties, and so you know that there's a lot of really good information, a lot of guidelines. I am going tomorrow to do just the top tips that we can cover in 20 minutes that can make the biggest difference if you decide to tackle some paper this week. So it was great seeing everyone, and hopefully I will see you back here tomorrow and Thursday, and we will share paper tips and mental and emotional clutter tips. So have a great day, and I will see everyone soon.